Hello fellow Scratchers! Back for more Geometry Dash fun? Well, after adding the game over explosion effect in episode 4, we still left our players hanging around, needing a green flag click to restart our games. Therefore, today we will be working on game continuity. This will include automatically restarting the level after each failed attempt, counter included, but also we'll be creating a full title screen with these super authentic animated buttons, which I think you'll find can be added incredibly easily into all your own Scratch projects. I know you're just going to love them. So what are we waiting for? Open your projects from episode 4 and save them as a fresh new copy, for this is episode 5. Guys, let's get scratching! We'll begin by triggering that level restart on game over. That should be relatively straightforward. So firstly, in the player sprite, scroll down to our game over event receiver. At this point, the player has just died and the explosion particles are still flying around. So before we can reset the level, we must wait for 0.7 seconds. That's just a short time for the explosion to settle. And now we want to reset. We must bring back the player. Since they were ghosted, clear graphic effects. That ensures they are visible again. And then we broadcast a new message named Reset Level. Excellent. So the level reset is going to be actioned in the level sprite itself, so click in there now. The simplest way to reset our level would be to rerun these initial green flag scripts again. So separate the scripts off at the top and attach them to a new when I receive hat block for the reset level message, and then drop in a broadcast to reset level under the now empty green flag script. That should ensure that the game kicks off just as before. Shall we give it a try? Smash that green flag. Okay, looks good. Except, hold on, are you seeing what I'm seeing? The level sprite is now doubled up. And of course it is, because when the level resets, we now create 2 new clones without first deleting the existing ones. So, when the level resets, we must first delete this clone. But sadly, we then can't reattach the other scripts below. Well, actually, we can, but first we must surround the delete clone with an if block, and then force it to always run by dropping a not block in that if. There. And now, yes, that looks much better, no doubling up of the level costumes, and we can sit back and enjoy trying to beat our levels without the distraction of having to click the green flag. Of course, what we are now missing is a simple counter to keep track of just how many times we've had to restart. So click into the player sprite and create a new variable naming it attempt, leaving it for all sprites. When green flag clicked, we can set attempt to 0 to initialize it. And each time we receive the game on, we change attempt by 1. Wow, I wish everything was that easy. Attempt 1. Attempt 2. Attempt 3. And clicking the green flag starts us off all over again. That's beautiful. So the nice thing about no longer relying on the green flag for restarts is that it frees up the green flag to be used to display the main Geometry Dash game menu. And about time, I hear you say. Guys, let's create a new sprite for this, naming it Menu. And just for clarity, I'll move it to the top of the sprite panel, as it is the first thing we'll be seeing in-game. Now, first off, we need a Geometry Dash-like logo. We could just use Scratch's internal text tool, the pixel font is closest, and if we then duplicate it a few more times, adding bigger and bigger outline widths of various colours, then stacking them on top of each other gives us quite a cool effect. However, if you prefer something a bit more whizzy, then you can Google Geometry Dash text, and that leads us to GD::'s Geometry Dash font generator. I've added a link under this video. Then we just enter the text here, Scratch Dash, for example, choose your font, and then under extra settings, reduce the width to 960 pixels. That's great for Scratch. But having changed the width, now our text has been wrapped over 2 lines. And if you don't want that to happen, then I discovered we could replace the spaces with tilde characters, and that works a treat. The same blank symbol can be found under the Symbols menu, under More, here. Then for extra padding, I added a tilde before and after the text, like so. Looking good, so we can click the download button and save the finished text to our computers as a transparent PNG, naming it logo. Then, back in Scratch, we can then upload the saved file as a new costume. And doesn't that look excellent? Thank you, GD:, we won't be needing that other costume any longer. Click that green flag. And yeah, we need to stop the actual game from starting. So click into the level sprite and delete the when flag clicked script we added just a few moments ago. Sorry about that. But now, as well as stopping the game from starting, we've also lost the Geometry Dash floor, which I was really quite keen on keeping visible for use on the title menu. Oh well, for now we'll fake it. Go into the level costumes and select the entire floor. And then click copy. Then, back into the menu sprite, what we're going to do first is switch the logo into vector mode. This will allow us to more easily move things around, so while holding shift, drag the title higher up the canvas. Now hit that paste button, and the floor should pop in down at the bottom, like so. It's looking great in the costume editor, but it needs attention on the stage. Let's code. When green flag clicked. Go to the front. Obviously the menu is in front of everything else. Then make sure it's shown, and that we switch to the correct logo costume. Lastly, reposition it with a go to XY block at 0, 0. There, looking good. Hold on, we don't want that attempts variable showing up on the game menu. We can hide it using a hide variable attempts. First thing at the top here. Cool, so next up we need a good old-fashioned Geometry Dash begin button right smack in the middle of the screen. Now I'm pretty sure you can find a good graphic on Scratch or the web for use here, but right now I'm going to draw my own. So make a new costume and name it Play. That will be important later on, so don't forget to name it that. This is what I'm trying to copy, so using mostly rectangles, here goes nothing. Ta-da! It's practically identical. What a masterpiece. Just make sure that it's snapped to the center of the canvas, as I've shown you many times before. That's important so that it can grow and shrink. Right, back into the code. We have another costume to display, so we're going to need to use clones. Duplicate these two blocks. The first pair is going to be for the clone, so switch to the play button costume. And then drop in a create clone of myself before we switch to the logo costume. Now if you hit the green flag now, then both components of the main menu will now be visible. Great! I think we should just move that play button up a touch though, don't you? I'll try a Y position of 15. Yeah, that's better. So now for the fun bit. If we look at the real Geometry Dash menu, check out how these sweet buttons animate with the mouse over. Oh wow, that is awesome! It's not the standard grow and shrink effect. It's got some punch. This is called a bounce transition, and is practically coded just like we code a bouncing ball in Scratch, only with size instead of the Y position. Anyway, we'll build this up a little at a time. Firstly, we need to detect when the mouse is over the button. When I start as clone, go to the front, and then we'll begin a forever loop. Now, there are two possibilities. Use an if-else block. Either this button is touching the mouse pointer, and if so, then we can set size to 125% to make it grow bigger. Otherwise, the button is not touching the mouse pointer, so set the size back to 100, just like it began. Right then, this is like the most basic representation of the animation. It's crude, it works, but we can do a lot better. I suggest we create a new custom block to help us with the next step. Name it Bounce to Size. And we need a numeric input of target size, that's how big we want the button to grow to, and then a text label, Force, followed by another numeric input, also named Force. Now this is the direction of growth, bigger or smaller. And for starters, we'll only replace the top set size with our new block. That's the growing step. The size we want to reach is again 125%, and this time we apply a growing force of 2. To keep track of how fast this button is growing, we're going to need a new variable. Name it speed, ensuring it's created for this sprite only. Got that? Now, this pattern is one we use a lot for animating gravity. So set speed to, and firstly we multiply the current value of speed by 0.9. This is simulating air resistance. It stops the object from accelerating out of control. Then to this we add the new force. Remember, this is 2 when the button is growing. And pop that all into the set speed block. Cool. Finally, we change the button's actual size, change size by, and drop in that speed variable, like so. Ooh, I feel tingly. Run the project and hover over that button. Whoa, 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 that's crazy! And we are growing out of control. We need to put a limit on this if greater than. So if the size of the sprite becomes greater than the supplied target size, that's 125, then we simply set the size back to, target size. That will stop it in its tracks. Click the green flag and hover. Yes, that's it. I just have to point out though that as it is now, it only works the first time after clicking the green flag, as we are not resetting the speed variable. But don't worry, that will come. Because now I want to add in that awesome bounce effect. When we hit the target size, set the variable speed to a multiply block of negative 0.8. Multiplied by speed. That will send it bouncing back in the direction it came, only with a little less power than before. Did you see that? That is so cool. It really looks like it's popping out and bumping into something. Oh yeah, I could keep doing this all day. Oh, but no, we must continue and add the reverse falling animation when the button is released. Back up here then, and duplicate the bounce block into the else branch. The target size is going to be 100, and the force, that will be negative 2, so that the button reduces in size. But, oh man, obviously there's a little bit more to do here. My button is shrinking teeny weeny small. I can only just get my mouse over it, and then, pow, up they pop. Well, the problem is located in this if condition. When growing, that is, when force is greater than 0, we know we have exceeded the target size when size is greater than target size. But when shrinking, the opposite is now true. We have exceeded the target size when size is less than the small target size. Or, written another way, when size is greater than target size is false, equals false. Well, that is a simple comparison, is it not? Compare the true-false result of size is greater than target size with the true-false result of force being greater than 0. This is now true when the left and right sides are both true or both false. I'm not sure I'm explaining that very well, but do take some time to think about it. Here we go. Let's see if it worked. And wow, yes, it did. That looks so good. Almost exactly like the real thing. I'm very pleased. And yet, if I had to be pedantic, I might say that the bounce can go on a little too long. We could just round that off to be sure. If less than, then use the absolute value. If the abs of speed is less than 4, then we set speed back to 0 to remove any micro bounces. And we can test again. And gosh, at least with my screen recorder running, I can't really tell if it's better or not, but anyhow, it's certainly not worse. So we are almost there. We just need to make this button clickable. When this sprite clicked. Now careful, we could have clicked any sprite. Let's make sure it was the play button, not the logo. If the costume name equals play, then great, this is the right button. For safety's sake, we wait until the mouse button is released. That's not mouse down. And then we broadcast reset level. Testing that. And oops, the game starts, but we forgot to hide the menu. Well, that's easy. When I receive reset level, the menu sprite and its clones will all receive this, so stop other scripts in this sprite. We don't want any other menu sprites to keep on running their scripts. Then hide all the menu sprites. And end by deleting all the button clones. That should do the trick. Clicking the play button. And yes, it does! Fabulous! We're almost done for this episode. Only before we go, why don't we add a nice bit of music to our start menu? And yes, if we search in Scratch for Geometry Dash menu music, then you'll find someone will have uploaded it. Yeah, here we go. This project by Circle Illusion. Ooh, funky! Nice one. But it's the music that we're after, so find the track. And it's this second track, menu music. So I'm going to backpack that. Thank you very much. And returning to our menu sprite in our project, go into the sound tab and drag that track in from your backpack. And all we need to do for this to play is from the code tab, drop in a new when flag clicked hat block, and then in a forever loop, we want to play the sound until done. Selecting that menu theme. Cool, let's take that for a spin. Yeah, nice to hear that familiar tune. Yeah, the button animation is still flawless, loving it. So let's click, and the menu music stops, and the game begins. Now that is really cool. And to get back to our menu, we just click on the green flag. And there we go, beautiful with the music, and I'm loving it. Oh, hold on, we lost our attempt counter. Oh, we can fix that. Just pop into the player sprite, and in the game on script, drop in the show variable block for our attempt counter. Simple. And with that, we have come to the end of another episode. If you've enjoyed what you saw, then please do smash that like button under the video, and you simply must make sure to subscribe to the channel and tick that bell icon because next time, oh my, next time, we've just got so much exciting stuff still to cover, and you absolutely don't want to miss it. So yeah, subscribe. I've left a link to the official Scratch Studio for this series under the video, so keep on submitting your projects. Many thanks to my awesome curators, especially 11 Hashay, Noble Crossing, Hello Kitty Cloris, AV2622, and Scratch Monster 2468, just to name a few. Thank you so much, and thank you all for watching. Do have a great week ahead, and Scratch on, guys.